actually has several things in it, but the only section I'm focusing on is just being able to identify conic sections. Now, when I talk about identifying conic sections, if you look down at the 3 examples we're going to do in class, A, B, C, they're not in the nice, neat, standard form like x squared over a squared plus y squared over b squared equals 1. So it's hard to tell, is it a parabola, is it an ellipse, is it a hyperbola? So we're going to come up with, we're going to talk about the discriminant test, okay? So 3 main types of conics, which we've already talked about, parabolas, ellipses, hyperbolas. The discriminant test allows us to determine what type of a conic is given by looking at these crazy equations. Now, here's what you need to be familiar with right here. Given this form, okay, our standard form here of ax squared plus bxy plus cy squared plus dx plus ey plus f, and note it has to equal 0. So you've got your a, b, c, d, e, and f, which are your coefficients of each of those various terms. Given that equation equals 0, then if the discriminant, and I don't know if you guys remember the discriminant, b squared minus 4ac, it's the piece under the square root of a quadratic formula. If b squared minus 4ac comes out to be greater than 0, what do I mean greater than 0? I mean positive. So if my discriminant works out to be positive, then it is a hyperbola. If you find your ABC and you do b squared minus 4ac and it equals 0, then we know it is a parabola. And lastly, if you find out that b squared minus 4ac is less than 0, what do I mean by less than 0? I mean negative. Then it is an ellipse. Okay? That's all there is to it. The tough part, I guess, is identifying your ABCs correctly. So, let's go down to example 1. Excuse me, example A. All of your homework, 43 through 52, are doing just this. Determine what conic section the following equations would graph by finding the discriminant. So we don't actually have to graph it. We don't have to solve it so we can graph it. But looking at this. Now, for practice sakes, let's identify our variables. First of all, notice the equation does equal 0, yes? Since 9 is in front of x squared, what variable does, or what letter does that make it?
A.
A. 16 is in front of y squared. What is that? That is your C. What about B? Is there a B? No. We don't have an xy term, so we don't have a B. So what are we going to use for B when we get there?
0.
We're going to use 0 because we don't have an xy term. Okay. What is this negative 18?
D.
It's D because it's a coefficient of x. What's 64? E because it's a coefficient of y. And negative 71 is F because it's the constant. Okay, guys. You need to find your discriminant. B squared minus 4AC. So B is 0. 0 squared minus 4 times A, which is 9, times C, which is 16. Forgot to mention, you might want your calculators by your side. And 0 squared minus 4 times 9 times 16. In all honesty, I know what I need to know if you want to think about it that way.
Yeah.
What is this going to result in? A negative, because it's 0 squared minus 4 times 9 times 16. For the record, what is minus 4 times 9 times 16?
5, 6.
So this is negative 576. What do you know about negative 576?
0.
It's a negative, it's less than 0. And so what is this? This is an ellipse. And for the record, it's an ellipse, not an eclipse. It's an ellipse. And you laugh, but I will see that on somebody's homework tomorrow. Someone will call them eclipses instead of ellipses. Just saying. Maybe not since I pointed it out now, but these are ellipses. Okay. Questions on A? Okay. What about B?
We only have B.
Okay.
As your C.
XY, it's 2XY, so there's your B. What is this negative 9? That's your constant, that's your F. My equation does equal 0. And so A is 0 and C is 0. So fill in your discriminant. B squared minus 4AC. 2 squared minus 4 times 0 times 0, which is?
3 and 0.
Okay. 2 squared is 4. We know 4 is greater than 0, or in other words, it's positive. So it is a hyperbola.
So by process of elimination, we don't even have to solve the next one.
We'll still do the math, but I do it. You guys know how I teach. Okay, let's look at C.
This one goes in order.
X squared plus 4xy plus 4y squared minus 30x minus 90y plus 450. What's A? Invisible 1 in front of x squared. What's B?
4.
4 from the 4xy. What's C?
4.
4 from the y squared. What's D?
Negative 30.
Negative 30 from the x term. E?
Negative 90.
Negative 90 from the y term. And F? 450. And it does equal 0. Okay? I know, these are pretty basic, but they do usually give them to you kind of, I think they're usually in order and already equal 0. So, if we do our B squared minus 4AC, B is 4, so 4 squared minus 4 times 1 times 4. Yeah. We end up with 16 minus 16, which equals 0. And what do we know when the discriminant equals 0? It is a parabola. Okay, guys. That's all I'm teaching in lesson 8.4. Okay? Your homework is truly doing this. I don't think there was anything else that I threw into this homework. Definitely means this will be the shortest homework you've done all year, in terms of at least in 2025. I can't say all school year, except we've had occasionally a short one, but okay? Questions? Okay, do that homework for tomorrow.